Could Florida really eliminate property taxes? Well, Governor Ron DeSantis thinks so, but what does this mean for homeowners, renters, and public services? So, to give you guys a quick overview, is DeSantis wants to amend the Florida Constitution to eliminate property taxes altogether. Now, property taxes right now are currently used to fund essential services like schools, police, and fire departments. So the real big question is if property taxes go away, how will Florida make up for that lost revenue? Now, please drop a comment below. Do you think eliminating property taxes is a good idea, or is it a disaster waiting to happen? And let me know the state that you're in. Are you also paying for those property taxes? So let's give you guys a little bit of background on how property taxes currently work in Florida. Now, Florida's unique tax structure is as follows. One, they don't have state income tax. They're heavily reliant on sales tax and tourism revenue. Now, property tax trends have been going up over the last couple of years, where currently the median Florida property tax is $3,101 in 2024. That's a 9.5% increase over last year. Now, since 2019, Florida property taxes have increased 47.5% across the state, which is a huge amount, especially if you're on a fixed income. And this is why we're always saying, like, hey, if you haven't filed for your VA disability, please make sure that you look into that, because there could be some tax savings when it comes to your property taxes. And I have a whole separate video on the channel talking about how VA disability and property taxes work and how that research is to be done. Another piece of that is in Florida, Miami-Dade and Broward counties, property taxes have risen 56.8% in the last 5 years due to just home appreciation, right? So that's the thing that people don't talk about, is that great, your home value has gone up, but what ends up happening with your home values going up is that you are now starting to pay more in taxes because your value of your property is a lot more. This is why it's also important to see what exceptions or exemptions you have on your taxes, like having senior citizen freeze, coming back from a deployment. They have so many different things that you can implement within freezing your taxes. And this is why it's so important for you to know what is happening with the current market and your veteran benefits, because otherwise you will just be straight up missing out on those. Now, let's talk about what DeSantis planned is going to be based in his own words. So basically what he wants to do overall is he believes that property taxes are oppressive, and he wants them to be gone. Eliminating that requires a constitutional amendment, which means at least 60% of voters must approve of that. Now, possible proposals, like not completely eliminating the property taxes, because that might be unlikely to pass. One may be reducing property taxes with alternative funding, or the other part is shifting revenue sources to higher sales tax or other fees, which they have such a robust tourism component to them that may be the solution for them to make this happen. Now, another piece with that is that if you're a veteran that has a property tax exemption, but the cost of everything else goes up significantly, then does it make sense to stay in that state anymore? So that's something I don't think they're factoring in when it comes to this proposal that they're trying to pass. Now, the big question is what happens if property taxes are actually cut? Who is going to pay for the school, police, and fire departments? Currently, property taxes fund these essential services. If they're cut, Florida either reduces its spending or finds new revenue sources. Now, some potential replacement of that is having higher sales taxes, which Florida already depends on sales tax for that. Now, if it goes up, that could be a downside, but they have so much tourism in the state that it's really fueling that economy in Florida, which, that may change over time. And if they pass a law which reduces taxes, and it's a law now, and it's completely removed, obviously people get comfortable with that, and they're not going to want to reverse that. So if you start losing tourism and there's no way to make that money up, and people don't vote for it to be changed, that could put the state in a very bad position, which again, this is something they really need to think through in the long run. There's also the potential for Florida to increase toll roads, business fee, or service fees. But again, that all gets passed on to the consumer at the end of the day. So you're going to be spending that money, right? Like I said, nothing is free in life. Now, how does Florida compared to the other states that are out there? So I'm going to compare Florida, and I'll kind of give you a national average for a couple places. So like I mentioned earlier, Florida's median property tax is $3,101. Now that's lower than the Northeast and Midwest states, but let's talk about some of the high property taxes in the North. So New Jersey comes in at a whopping average of $9,488. Illinois comes in at $6,734. New York is $6,548, and the lowest in the U.S. is West Virginia. Beautiful state, drive through there all the time, is $989. Now, very stark difference between these states, and Florida still, I think, when I look at it from helping people across the country leverage their VA loan benefits. And if you guys are interested, please make sure you schedule a call down below with me to be able to go through that process and at least get you qualified to get into purchasing a home and using those beautiful VA home loan benefits. Now, the big part with having no income tax for Florida is attracting a lot of retirees and high earners due to the no state tax, tax piece. And a lot of people do. I talk to a lot of business owners. They definitely move down to Florida because of those not being able to pay, the not having to pay that state income tax, and they're not leveraging or utilizing any of the tourism business, which does get heavily taxed. But again, that gets passed on to consumers. And right now, people are still going to Florida on vacations and all that good stuff. Now, one big thing with Florida is that hurricane-driven insurance rates have spiked like crazy. A lot of people, or the insurance companies, have left Florida because of the hurricanes that they have had, which again is a downside to the cost of purchasing a property. And we have a lot of veterans that we help purchase in Florida. And one of the main things we ask them to do up front is to talk to an insurance company so they get an idea of how much their insurance is going to be. Especially if you're in a flood zone, that can get out of control expensive, depending on what flood zone you're in, all that good stuff. Even condos will require some type of flood insurance if they're in it, and it depends if it's on the master insurance policy or on the individual policy or on both. Those are all things that you need to consider when it comes to home ownership, because your budget's the most important component of this journey to home ownership. You got to make sure that you can afford it. And remember, I did a video not too long ago talking about how your mortgage payment goes up. So talking about taxes is one example of how your payment goes up. Insurance is another example of how your payment goes up. Getting your VA disability compensation so you don't have to pay property taxes affects your budget. It affects your monthly payment. All those things are critically important for you to understand when you're just diving into this piece. And having the most up-to-date information, like, hey, Florida might be changing this, can also change your mindset on the cost of living that's going to be associated with you leveraging the amazing and beautiful VA home loan. Hopefully you guys got some good information from the video. Please hit the like and subscribe button and share the video with other veterans in the community so we can get as much information out there as possible. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.